everyone. Welcome to version 2.
I hope you had a little cup of tea or something while you were waiting for us to return.
This is just how it goes, right? I was just telling Patty as we were fixing this that this has been the story of my life for the last 3 days. I think that somewhere in my past life I was an IT tech.
I know. Good job.
Because I keep needing to pull out those skills. All right, so here we are. We are making falafel with a citrus tahini sauce. And I'm going to share some of the tips and tricks of this dish to make it easier on you than it was on me when I first made it. And Patty's going to be doing the sous chef thing and moving around and offering comments as she thinks of things. So what I wanted to do is, first of all, let you know that this recipe I think is a perfect example of why you need to join the Healthy Kitchens Club. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes things seem really simple at first, then they actually are kind of complicated because it's all in the way we read and translate information. And that is where I think everything kind of shifts in all of our lives, either communication verbally or communication written. It's just interesting, like whatever place and time you're at the time you're reading or hearing something could completely change the next day. And that's what happened to me. So what I like to do when I make recipes is I read the entire ingredients first, and then I think, oh, I could shortcut that.
Right.
Do I really need to do all those steps? I could just do this and make it simpler.
Right.
Well, guess what, you guys?
We all do that, I think. Right.
This recipe, you cannot do that. So my first shortcut was, I don't need to soak garbanzo beans overnight. I could just put dry garbanzo beans in my trusty food processor over here and just whirl them away and make the mash that I need, and off we go. Well, guess what? You really can't, because dried garbanzo beans are like rocks. And they just basically created a whole earthquake in my food processor. So it really does start the day before with getting your ingredients together and putting the garbanzo beans in some nice filtered water and blessing it and putting it off to the side. And then setting yourself up for success by making the citrus tahini sauce first. And then letting that chill in the refrigerator. So I went ahead and did that, and I just want Patty to help show.
Right.
This is the finished product. And the key here is, again, not shortcutting. So one of the main ingredients here is orange juice.
I can smell it.
And yeah,
Delish.
the citrus.
Right.
So I bought 2 other oranges, basically the same size. And it's really important that you buy these organic. And the reason why is because we're going to be zesting, or I did zest the outside, and we're eating the first part of the orange that touches the world. And so you want this to be not full of chemicals, because guess what? You can put as much hot water on this as you want and it will not wash them out, because chemicals go in. This is skin just like this is skin. You could talk to Noelle, our amazing esthetician, and she will tell you that same thing.
Right.
Whatever you put on your body will become part of your body.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I went ahead and zested 2 big oranges this size. This is a zester. There may be other ones out there, but all you do is hold it here, and then you just scrape along the sides and just turn and scrape until the whole orange has been, all the orange is off of it, the color. And then you tap this down and boom, you have zest. And the reason why zest is so important is because there are tons of nutrients in the peel and the pith underneath that we just throw away in our society because it can be a little bitter. But when you zest it and make it into small particles, it's actually amazingly fragrant and adds a real layer of wonderfulness to the recipe. So don't skip that step. I really recommend it. The zest, just to be a little bit on the nutrition side, is rich in vitamin A. I'm calling that out. It's also got folate in it. It's got some calcium, some B vitamins. But vitamin A is especially important because that is something that helps regulate our immune systems. And we're all thinking about vitamin D right now for immune support.
Right.
Absolutely, but guess what? There's so much more that
You
goes
need the whole
into
rainbow of nutrients and vitamins.
Right,
Right.
exactly, so well
Right.
said. So vitamin A helps assist in maintaining the mucosal lining of the gut and also keeping those tight junctions intact so that we don't get an immune response by letting the inside of the gut seep out into the outside of the body, which is the internal environment or where the immune system lives. So with that being said, I then cut this in half and I used a squeezer, which Patty can demonstrate. Oops. And I made fresh squeezed orange juice. So you can bypass this step, you know, if you cut it in half and then use your muscles and squeeze it. If you don't want to do that, you can buy orange juice, obviously already squeezed. The reason I did that is because juice is pasteurized, which means that it's been heat treated because the intention is to kill any bacteria that are in there that can be harmful to us. But guess what? It kills all the nutrients too.
Right.
So now you're just drinking sugar water. So I like to make my meals as nutrient dense as possible. And so it was worth it to me to squeeze, and 2 oranges were exactly 7 ounces of juice. Go figure. So once you have that done, you pour the juice into the food processor, you throw in some garlic, and you can get the cloves peeled off really easily. Again, fresh whole food. So you buy the clove and you have a garlic roller. This
Love
is
those.
silicone.
I know. Love those.
And it's the easiest thing in the world. You just pop it inside, you roll it like this, and then out it comes like this. So the peel is gone. You don't have to use your fingernails, get garlic everywhere, you know, annoyed and frustrated. So these are very inexpensive.
Oh, a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
You can buy them on the end aisles at Sprouts, any, you know, home goods store, Target.
I bought 6 of them on Amazon for about $3.
There you go. You
So,
can color coordinate with your apron. So that's one of the essential kitchen tools that I recommend. And then you blend it all up. You put in tahini. This is an organic, unsalted, roasted. No, not roasted. Just unsalted raw tahini. And this is the Sprouts brand. I actually recommend this brand for this recipe because it's a little more watery.
And easier to work with.
Yeah, because we want it to be loose right now because we're making a sauce.
Right.
So see how liquidy that is?
So great. Right.
Yeah,
normally they're thick and difficult to work with.
Yeah, kind of like peanut butter consistency. And these tend to be thinner. I'm not sure exactly why. You still mix it up when you first get it. But because we're making it into a dressing, and if you're going to use it for a soup or something where you want it to blend, then
or hummus or
exactly. So tahini is just crushed sesame seeds. That's all it is. Really simple. So you can check that brand out if you want. If you buy something that's thicker, it's okay. You're just going to need to blend it a little more. And then you put it in the blender and you drizzle in oil. You put in, this is avocado oil we're going to use for cooking today. But you can put olive oil in as the recipe calls for. And once it's all blended, you drizzle it in, it emulsifies. And then you get this beautiful outcome with a little bit of salt to your taste and see how it goes. So once that's done, you can set it aside. When I made it and I stepped out of the house for a little bit, I came back. It smelled amazing because of that orange zest.
Right.
So that's one of the benefits of cooking from scratch in Whole Foods is that the aroma actually makes you feel even better about what you're doing is healthy. Okay, with that being said, let's move on to the main show. So we've got over here the food processor, and this is where I was mentioning you can't cut corners. So you have to take your dried organic garbanzo beans and soak them. Overnight is fine. You can soak them for 12 hours, 8 hours, just an overnight kind of piece. And then once they are soaked, you drain them. You can rinse them again if you want. And then you want to add them into your processor. However, there's one caveat here. The recipe says you want to have uncooked drained chickpeas and you want chickpea flour. You can buy chickpea flour in advance and have it ready. or you can do what I did, which is I use almonds to make almond flour. You can buy almond flour in the store, but guess what? You don't have to. This is so easy. So I'm just putting the almonds into the food processor before I get all the other ingredients going. And then I'm gonna turn it on. It's gonna get loud for a second.
Cover your ears.
Cover your ears. And one more time. Okay, that's it. That is how amazingly fast it is to make. Well, this is, let me qualify this. This is almond meal. Almond flour would mean that the almonds have been blanched and the skins were removed.
Right.
So it makes it a finer product. So this is actually almond meal, but it works just the same. And I just realized that I need a container to put these in.
Sure.
So Patty's gonna take care of that for us as we go. And you can grind this up as smooth as you want. And the reason I picked almonds is because they are also really nutrient dense. They're rich in vitamin E, which is a nutrient I find that my patients are lacking in at times. They're also a potent antioxidant source. And they are also rich in magnesium, which is a nutrient that many people are low in. Magnesium is so important for so many reasons, but one of the top ones is that it helps support normal blood sugar levels. And that's a big part of health. If we want to think about inflammation, it comes down to dysregulated blood sugar for a lot of people. Okay, so Patty's helped get this on the road. So we're just gonna set that aside for right now. Now that that's done, we can use a food processor for the rest of the things. So we are going to now start with the chickpeas. So these are ready to go. And Dr. Wilder asked me just right before we started filming, can you use canned chickpeas? And I said, not ideal because they are too wet and they won't allow you to form a ball that sticks together when you want to make the falafel. So you put the chickpeas in, and then the onion, really when it says rough chop, it doesn't even have to be this small. You don't have to stand there and dice away because that's why you have a food processor.
Right. The food
And we
processor
tend to
will do
like
that for you.
overwork. So, and I, just so you guys know, I'm actually making a half a recipe in here because we've already got a sample and I just want to be able to show you everything. So I'm putting in
The onions.
onion and the chickpea, and then I'm going to blend this up.
The blade.
Except we need the blade.
Important when you have
So
a
you know
food
what? I
processor.
just watched a show where somebody was making a dish, and they said it would help if I put the blade in. And I thought, that's so cute that they forgot that. I hope you guys think that too. Wow, that's what happens when you have a lot of moving parts. Okay, here we go. And basically what we're looking at here is you want this to be mealy. So see how it's not finely blended together? It's like chunky. So that's perfect. That's what you actually want. That's why I wanted to show this to you guys. So you could say, oh gosh, I need to blend that again and again. No, because at this stage, we just want it to be rough, kind of like mealy is really the best way. Kind of looks like egg salad, if you want to think of it that way. And then from here, we're going to add our fresh herbs. Do not chintz on this and don't use dried herbs. You have to have fresh to make it really outstanding. So this is a mixture of parsley, curly parsley, which you can see, and cilantro. And if you don't like cilantro, because I do know that happens, it's genetic, some people think cilantro tastes like dirt, and it's right, they do, that is their perception. So if you're one of those people, just put more parsley in there. So we're gonna stop there. And also we're gonna save those for later.
Okay.
And then we're gonna put in our garlic. So now you've got your garlic cloves, It calls for 8, and I said I'm making half, so I'm putting in 4. So they're good size. Don't be shy, because part of falafel is that garlicky flavor. And garlic is a great prebiotic. It really helps feed the good bacteria in your gut. And now what I want to do is add their spices. So this is cumin, and we're going to put in a half a teaspoon, because again we're doing half the recipe. This is just cumin seed that's been ground up. Patty uses this a lot. She's a great cook.
Aw.
Yeah, I keep asking her to make me things. Like fruit salad.
Well, you know I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we have a recipe contest coming up.
Yes, please tell us about
Yeah,
that.
so, and you should get an email about it, but June 6th through the 13th, and there's wonderful prizes, and it's so easy to do. So if you cook something this weekend, take a picture of it, and then you'll get instruction on how to maybe post it on Brilliant Health or on Facebook, and you'll be entered in the contest. So
Yeah.
make your recipe,
So
take a picture, easy breezy.
this is pink Himalayan salt I'm adding is the next thing. And putting this aside. And then we're also going to add baking powder. And this is 1 teaspoon as well.
So why the baking powder?
This
That's
is,
interesting.
yeah, I believe this is to just help the consistency when you're
Oh, okay.
baking it. To
Like
keep
instead
it,
of a cornstarch, a baking powder. Okay, gotcha.
I think so, and I'm
Mhm.
not completely sure.
I
since
like
I'm
the
not a-
science too. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, what?
Why does that work that way? Exactly. And then we're going to go ahead and blend this all up. Here we go.
Here it goes. Okay, Scotty, you need more power, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, this, you know what happens is stuff can get stuck under the blade,
Yeah.
especially when you add it at the last minute,
Mhm.
like I did. So just take your spatula and get in there and just be one with your mixture.
It definitely smells really good.
Yeah, the fresh
Yeah.
herbs, like you can't
Pretty
ever.
easy to do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's, and this recipe does call, you have to have a food processor.
Right, right.
There isn't any way you could chop this and make this work any other
Right,
way.
right.
So once you've got this nicely blended, let me show you guys what it looks like.
Mhm.
You can see the spices are mixed in there. It's still in a rough chop form. So now what we want to do is we want to add the almond meal. So Patty will bring that back
Mhm.
over. And we want to add a half a cup. So we're just going to measure it out. And this is going to be what's going to help make it start becoming thick, like dough, basically. And if you're avoiding almonds, you can still use the chickpea flour. That's fine. I just thought this would be a fun addition and another layer of
a flavor.
nutrition. Yeah, exactly. I personally love almonds. I think they're delicious. Now we're forming a ball of dough. And this is where the recipe takes a little love. And you want to just come back around and help it out so that you can mix things. And this is where we're forming that nice sticky consistency so that it will become balls. Now, with that being said, you can cook your falafel 3 different ways. You can pour like an inch of oil into a fry pan and actually fry it, which is the traditional way. That's how it is in Middle Eastern restaurants. And in Israel, which I had the privilege of going to a long time ago. You can bake them, which is fine. That's also possible. And you can also just saute them in a pan, which is what we're going to do today. So now that this is all blended up together.
So sauteing is just less oil.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah,
less oil.
saute
Right.
means just like a light layer of oil that's warmed up. And then you just basically brown the outsides instead of submerge. So you can see now we've got a nice thick paste. And then the key here is it needs to refrigerate. So it recommends an hour of refrigeration or overnight. And whichever, again, works for you is great. So we're going to bypass that part because I've already refrigerated it. And we're going to shuffle
Here's
here.
the magic.
Dun, dun. Isn't that fun? This was a really cathartic recipe for me. Okay, I'm
I will
going
take
to
that.
shift with Patty.
Okay.
This is why it's so great to cook with other people, because we just need help. I'm gonna pass you this too.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
She's the best. You guys, just call and talk to her. She's fun to talk to. She's like, no,
Sorry.
I'm actually quite busy.
No, just call and chat.
Just call and
That's my
chat.
favorite.
Come on. That's what we love here at Lifescape is we have relationships with our patients.
Mm-hmm.
We get to know
So
you guys.
fun. So fun. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Dr. Wilder has been helping patients so long that she's now helping the patients' daughters and their grandbabies.
Right.
Like, it's amazing. Okay, so here we go, you guys. We've got our induction stovetop mini, and I'm turning it on. I'm heating it up. The wonderful thing about an induction stovetop is that it heats up really fast,
Mhm.
and it maintains the heat.
Mhm.
And if you take the pan away, it stops. So it's more safe.
Safe.
Yeah. So we're gonna let that heat up. You just have to have pans that
Mhm.
match your induction cooktop. So what Patty's gonna do is I'm gonna switch with her, switch sides,
Mhm.
and she's in charge of making perfect sized balls
I'll do my best.
and dropping them
Mhm.
down. So she's using, I believe that's an ice cream scoop,
This is actually,
or is it a melon?
I don't want to tell you. It's a cookie scoop.
Oh, that's even better.
I occasionally make a cookie and use these.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and you know what? There are healthy cookies.
There are. Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
healthy for us to have
Mhm.
treats once
Right.
in a while so that we don't go crazy and overconsume when we restrict and restrict.
I just want to be honest. They are healthy.
Absolutely,
healthy.
that's the best way. And so now that the pan is heated, and this is another quick tip, a little pearl, don't put the oil in while the pan is heating, because if the oil gets too hot, now it's smoking,
Right.
and if the oil smokes, that means it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's a trans fat, it's rancid, you might as well be cooking with margarine.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. So now I can feel, and if I had some water, I could just spritz a little
Mhm.
water, and if it turned into steam, I would know that my pan was too hot.
Right.
And I would cool the pan down a little bit more before I added my oil. So we've got it on medium heat, and I'm just gonna coat the bottom here. I'm using avocado oil because it can take a higher temperature. So it won't smoke as quickly as a olive oil. Be really careful with your olive oils. They're actually pretty delicate.
Mm-hmm.
So use avocado oil or coconut oil for these high
High
heat.
heat.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, my love, you're up.
Okay, I'll do my very best.
She's gonna start making our perfect sized balls, and
Put them in the, shall I?
and just drop them in. Yeah, exactly. And the way the recipe says is do one and see if it sticks together before the rest, and then if it doesn't, you can add some more flour. This looks really good.
I think it's just going to be amazing.
Yeah,
And once I get some in there, we can tilt the pan.
yeah,
maybe.
we'll show you guys what's going
Yeah.
on here. But these look really fabulous. You can make them with your hands. If you do that, then you want to have a bowl of cold water, and you want to keep your hands moist so that the dough doesn't stick to your hands. I love this idea because making food uniform sizes makes it cook at the same time.
Mhm.
And it also, honestly, it tastes better because we're all about texture and size and flavor. And when things are uniform, it's easier for our mouth to absorb all of that at once. So this is gonna need to cook in batches, I'm guessing, because
Mhm.
there's,
Yeah, I think that's probably crowded enough.
yeah.
Okay.
And so if you wanna make a bigger batch of this and then freeze the falafel, you
I
can.
can show it a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see.
There you go, perfect.
Yeah.
So Patty's expert scooping skills. And so that's gonna cook about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, depending on how warm the pan is gotten. And this looks pretty good, it's bubbling away. And then we'll go ahead and flip the sides. We're gonna try to use some tongs to do that.
Mhm.
But wait until they're browned a little bit before you
Okay.
flip them. Yeah. So what I wanted to mention here is we're talking about adding all these herbs and spices to our foods. And especially fresh herbs, because they're part of a class of nutrients called polyphenols. And there's a lot of information now coming out about polyphenols, and we tend to think of it as our dark purple and red produce, which is true, but actually polyphenols are in any kind of, as you said earlier, rainbow colored food. And so when we get a polyphenol in our diet, it helps us with boosting our antioxidant capacity, which means anti-aging. It means helping you maintain a healthy weight, preventing diabetes, preventing cancer, all of those long-term chronic diseases that make our lives really difficult. So this is an example of how to use a polyphenol as a spice and as a fresh herb, because we've got cumin in there and we've got the cilantro and parsley. Yeah, exactly. And so anytime you can make a dish, I also encourage my patients to have multiple color. And in this dish, we're going to have the falafel, which is traditionally served in a pita. And we're going to instead kind of turn it inside out, and we're going to serve it on a nice platter of freshly chopped romaine. You can make this spinach if you want, or mixed greens, whatever is ideal. This is in the recipe. Romaine is a nice complement. It's a little heartier lettuce, which complements the flavor of the falafel. And then we're going to decorate it with some red bell pepper. If you go to Israel or anywhere in a Mediterranean restaurant where they're serving this dish, you can oftentimes will get it served with fresh tomatoes and cucumbers. So you've got green and red, which means you have two colors per meal, golden, and then you've got orange actually hidden in the tahini sauce. So there's actually three colors, three different polyphenols, which makes it amazing. So here we go, we're just cooking away, and one of the sides is starting to brown. And I'm just carefully encouraging it to flip over. And Patty's getting a spoon because she knows that we need some help.
You might need to turn it down a little. Yeah.
So watch your stove, and this is a really good example of how important it is to be present with your food, because we're not always sure how things are going to work out. So if I put this on the stove and start texting or watching TV and get caught up in something going on, I could easily just burn the whole pan, because I need to get the right temperature at the right time. So she is very carefully moving the patties around to get them to cook. So to me, this would be a good time to think about baking your falafel, just in case it would be easier. And you could actually just put it in there and not be as concerned about it.
Yeah.
You could also take the falafel mixture and put it into a loaf, and you can make a loaf pan out of it, like a meatloaf, and just do a falafel loaf and then cut it into sections. So there's lots of different ways to go about doing this. And Patty's doing her best to save the falafel.
I'm save the falafel.
They're being moody, I'm just going to tell you. And that's what happens sometimes with cooking. So it's an experience.
It still tastes good.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
may not look as pretty as a professional
It's still
chef.
going to be delish and good for you.
Yeah, this is where you can tell that we're just two ladies cooking and not chefs.
We're not chefs?
Yeah. Nope, not at all.
Okay.
So she's flipped the balls. They're continuing to cook. We could put a little more oil in there. Here you go.
Thank you.
She's going to be in charge of that. And that's the one thing about cooking these. They do tend to use quite a bit of oil. If you're being cautious of the amount of oil in your diet, this would be something to consider baking. I think that would be a good option. So as we go through this, I wanted to talk about the different kinds of foods that you can make flour out of. You can use almonds like we did earlier in the show. You can use flax seeds, cashews, oats, hazelnuts, coconut, as we mentioned earlier. You can do all of that in your food processor. You can buy the flours already pre-made, but it's just as easy to just whirl them away on your own, and it's probably more cost effective to do it like that. So Patty's checking all of them. She's giving them a little mama love.
A little hug.
That's what I was just thinking. Looks like she's giving little snuggy hugs to everyone. I have to let you guys know my dog helped yesterday evening in the preparation. He tested the tahini and he said it was really good. So we can all respect his opinion. He's a little Aussie Shepherd, and he's one and 3 months. So I say he's 1-3, and he's learning that Mom cooks a lot, so he gets to be in the kitchen.
He probably loves that.
Yeah, he's always there watching, making sure that I stay on top of it. So these are looking a little lumpy bumpy, but
They
that's
smell
okay.
amazing.
They smell really good.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're gonna have to just kind of,
Oh,
maybe we're gonna make it into a falafel crumble.
yeah. I think that'll be delish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
As a matter of fact, why don't we just
yes,
go
let's just do
do
that.
that? Mhm.
Let's just cook
and
it.
then, and then it'll cook quicker. And
Yeah, we're just gonna get the surface. Here we go.
spatula. That's what we need.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
I had a feeling we would need that. So I'll switch with Patty. And
The little crunchies are going to be so yummy.
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Kind of the
The
little
brown
round
parts.
parts.
Yeah, so
Looks amazing.
this is kind of like when you cook tofu.
Right.
And you want to use it instead of eggs, so you make a scrambled tofu dish.
Right.
And you crumble it all up and season it, and then put it on top
Right.
of spinach and put some tomato on it. This is the same idea. It doesn't really matter what
No.
it looks like. It's more the quality of the ingredients. And here's the thing, the intention. The intention that you use and the energy that you use when you harness when you're cooking makes all the difference in the world. And I talk about that in my club. The idea that getting ready for cooking is really important. It's just like getting ready to exercise. You just like when you get ready for your exercise, you change your clothes, you put on your gym shorts or your gym tights, and you put on different shoes. You put your hair up like you're ready to go. The same thing is true for the kitchen. You put on your apron, you protect your clothes, you put on closed-toed shoes in case something drops and you don't cut or burn your feet. And you get in that mindset of, I'm getting ready to make some really delicious food. Maybe you're making one dish, maybe you're making a bunch at the same time. But either way, you're just getting yourself set to create that good energy around what's happening. I think part of what's going on here too with this pan is it is completely nonstick.
Yeah.
And so I think that the food is browning and then just staying there, and it's not cooking through as well.
It's still going to be delicious, and it's still all of the good things that, all the good ingredients in there.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is turn off our stove, and Patty's just going to drizzle some of the cooked
Through the
topping
middle?
anywhere that you want is fine with me.
Oops.
And then we'll put some orange tahini sauce on it. And this is actually easier to eat in the salad form, the crumbles.
Oh, it looks so good.
It looks really nice, you guys,
And
have to say.
delicious, right.
And that's what cooking is. It's just about being creative and going with the flow and not getting too stressed out about things like, wow, we're on a cooking show and the falafels aren't working. It's okay. It's fine because things happen all the time.
It looks delicious anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like your internet goes out and
And
you have to completely change
There
in
you
the
go.
middle. Okay, you guys, here we go. Yum.
doesn't that look great?
That's
and
fabulous.
It smells amazing.
And then I'm going to pass this to Patty. She's going to hold it for a second. And we are going to do this.
Dana, I'm rather proud of this.
Oh.
Even though the little balls didn't
We just
out.
decided to do crumbles, tahini crumbles. And then we're just drizzling on our tahini sauce. And this recipe, I made a lot. You could freeze this, or you could use it on anything, any salad, any vegetable, anything. This is good across the board. So do not hesitate to experiment with it. But this is really kind of the secret sauce of the whole dish, to be honest with you. Okay, so there we go. And then just because of color, we're gonna do the red bell peppers. We're just sprinkling these on
Oh my
top.
goodness.
Isn't that pretty? So just think, look at how much more appealing this is visually. We eat with our eyes first. That's why we want color, because it makes us go, oh, I want to try that. That
There's
looks
the rainbow.
fabulous. Yeah, ta-da.
Ta-da. Good
So
job.
glad you were with me on this one.
It was fun. It was fun.
Thank you everybody for joining us. Remember, you can go to the Lifescape webpage and go to the Healthy Kitchens, Healthy You. It's included in there. I think there's a pop-up.
There actually, as soon as you click on to lifescapepremiere.com, there'll be a little pop-up that says join the club. And it's, check your email. You'll also get a link to join in there. Contact me. I'm pwin@lifescapepremiere.com. Or, just call the clinic, 480-860-5500. And we'll be happy to help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us and your patience. And know that if you're going to make this recipe, take a lot of patience to yourself and see how it works for you. And if you have any comments or feedback, put them in the section below. We look forward to hearing from you. See you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Be well.